Doctors, I believe, I'm a doctor, at their heart of hearts wants you to be well. So it is important to get that wellness screening every single year with that blood evaluation. Well, what are they going to look for in the blood evaluation? Of course, they're going to look to see whether or not your blood sugars are high.
We do what's called the 20 and 2 rule right from the desk in the office. And you'll see weights by the side of my desk where I'll do bicep curls, triceps, overhead triceps, shoulder press. There's a lot of things that you can do with a simple set of hand weights.
Well, you're right. There's not one solitary constructive thing about soda, and we know the sugar in there, but then we also got to think about,
you're just drinking calories.
What about diet soda? Well, that's just worse because some of the ingredients in over the last couple of years, there's been a lot of probably misinformation and probably some accurate information creating this fear of going to the doctor or fear of getting your annual checkups and normal processes you might have done previous to the pandemic. But you really don't want to ignore some normal sort of examinations because it can give you information to keep you out of trouble. Typically, most insurance providers with your policy will give you an annual physical wellness, and you should definitely take advantage of that, and no question, as well as some other tests that we might want to consider.
Yes, so doctors, I believe, I'm a doctor, at their heart of hearts wants you to be well. So it is important to get that wellness screening every single year with that blood evaluation. Well, what are they going to look for in the blood evaluation? Of course, they're going to look to see whether or not your blood sugars are high. They're going to look to see whether or not your lipids are out of balance. They're going to look to see whether or not you have high blood pressure. Did you know that blood pressure is the silent killer? You can't feel it, you can't see it, you can go on about your day and never know that you have high blood pressure. But it can cause a heart attack or a stroke in an instant, and it can change your life. So making sure you get that checked on a regular basis. Also, it is very important for us to simply know what's happening with our bones, especially us ladies as we get a little bit older. Now, the screening age is oftentimes 65. In my heart of hearts, I think we should have a screening when our bones mature as adults so we know what our baseline is, and then perhaps start to check that as we move into perimenopause. Oftentimes, we're not getting enough exercise. Resistance exercise is what deposits minerals in the bones and helps keep them strong. And then hormones. As hormones decline, we're starting to lose our bone mass. So checking early is a very, very important thing. Also, colonoscopies. Colon cancer can be a killer, and detecting it early is very important.
It is, and I've had many people, even come in there and I'll put that cuff around their arm and push the button, and I can see them all stressed out because it might be high.
White coat syndrome?
White coat syndrome, but they haven't really checked it in a while. And it might surprise them sometimes how high it is. And I hear this remark made from many people, wow, my blood pressure is getting high. They'll say that and they have no idea. Now, that could be caused by being in our offices. I get all that because it can be a response from your autonomic nervous system. But it's still important to make sure that thing gets checked. And lest us not forget the body composition machine, the percentage of body fat. That is so important. Far surpassing the importance of scale weight is the percentage of muscle and fat we have in our frame. And then you mentioned the bone. We have a machine in our office that's a DEXA scan, and it also measures visceral fat, where fat can get built up in the abdominal area.
That's pretty toxic fat if I
am big deal.
Correct.
So this is important. So some of these things, more so even than the blood tests, are going to be good. But we shouldn't forget the hands-on, eyes-on portion of this. You can look at someone, you can almost see disease process sometimes, and you've taught me so much stuff about looking at their face, their eyes, their tongue, just stuff you can just examine them and see what's going on.
Oftentimes, patients will try to just tell me, well, I have white coat syndrome. There is some truth to that, but if that blood pressure is running high on a
Hmm.
consistent basis, we're going to want to do what's called ambulatory blood pressure analysis, which is going to look at blood pressure over a 24-hour period of time, because we still don't want you to have a heart attack or stroke. A couple other things that are really, really important to screen is, we love the sun. I love the sun. It's really hard for me to think that the sun is bad, but skin cancer can be a bad thing. It's an important screening thing to do, especially when you start getting up in years, to have an annual skin cancer screening. If you catch it early, they don't have to take a full chunk out of your face or a full chunk out of your arm. It might just be a little scraping or just a little tiny biopsy. But if we wait too long, it can be a much more severe intervention.
Yeah, no question. I think we all know the sun is not bad in itself. It's got healing properties in it, but just like anything else, our body can get wore down, broken down, beat down, and it won't repair itself, just like our skin can. So, just getting these basic checkups is not an intrusive thing. It's actually got a lot of wisdom attached to it, because the best we can tell people is where they are right now in their status of health. If you don't know, you don't know. And I realize that ignorance can be bliss sometimes, but ignorance can also be deadly at times. And so some of these wellness checks are within your insurance policies, as I stated. So we should definitely be taking advantage of those, shouldn't we?
Yes, especially like pap tests and mammograms. Pap screenings, the reason that we do pap smears is for cervical cancer. And the most common cause of cervical cancer is sexually transmitted diseases. And in today's day, oftentimes a person doesn't have just one partner. And if one partner, the second partner, the third partner, we can pass these things around. We want to know that we have clean health when it comes to cervical cancer. Also, mammograms. If you are anti-mammogram, there's a thermogram that's available out there. Most breast cancers are found by the female herself, and I encourage women to do their own breast exams when they're in the shower on a regular basis. You will come to know your breast tissue, and if things feel like a hard rock, that's really not right. Breast tissue is glandular. It has a certain feeling to it, so kind of get to know your own body and know when it's time to get checked.
So there you go. There's all kinds of tests right there you should be doing on a routine basis, probably annually. So just take this advice to heart for what it's worth out of love and consider getting those annual screenings done for the good of yourself and even your family.
If you're bound to a chair or not, even that 10-minute workout from a chair, beneficial or not.
It is. And we'll show you how up next.
There's a lot of talk these days about human enhancement.
Terms like biohacking, bioharmonizing, biosynergizing, stacking, resilience, and anti-fragility.
In our clinic, the Functional Medical Institute, we've been helping people of all shapes, sizes, and backgrounds improve their quality of their physiology and maximize their lives.
So you can follow the latest fads and gimmicks and maybe find some things that work for you.
Or you can add Kingdom Fuel to your daily regimen right now.
It's the simple start to a transformed life.
Our unique meal shakes are balanced, low glycemic, rich in fiber with 20 grams of clean protein, essential vitamins and minerals, healthy fats, and organic fruits and vegetables. Kingdom Fuel is vegan with a complete amino acid profile.
No gimmicks, just proven results.
Start today at sherwood.tv/fuel.
Now we have it. Kingdom Crunch.
It's important to start breakfast off with a power-packed punch. You want a complete amino acid score, good protein. If you turn the label over and look at the back of the box, there is no added sugars in either one of these flavors, either peanut butter or acai bowl.
Peanut butter has 11 grams of high-quality protein. Acai bowl has 8. Peanut butter has 11 grams of carbohydrate, acai bowl 12, and both of them have a good solid fat content at 6 grams. Very filling, very healthy.
You will be fueling yourself with high quality fuel, starting off the day right. You can even use Kingdom Crunch as a snack in the middle of the day if you just have a craving and you want to eat something that is good for you, it has a crunch, and doesn't have a lot of calories.
There you go. Diabetic friendly, keto friendly, paleo friendly, Kingdom Crunch, and
Child friendly. I don't know about you, but I have to have that cup of coffee in the morning. And Kingdom Cup is mold free, it is pesticide free, and it is organic. It's got this flavor that is delicious. You don't even have to put cream or sweetener in it.
and it's Kingdom Cup with a K,
K.
right? So this is important. 50% of all coffee at least contains mold. And this is a key thing. That's in bean form, right? So you're going to be a little grinder. They're just a few bucks. Grind it up, put it in your maker, and make it. Why did we go with the bean form, the whole bean? Because ultimately the powder form is the one that gathers the most moisture. And that means the more potential mold development. So this is actually organic, mold-free, certified. It's got a little certificate with it. That's important because ultimately people drink coffee. It's cultural. And so we tried to meet the culture where it is and create a healthy alternative.
Oftentimes people don't have the energy to get to the gym, the time to get to the gym, or the strength to get to the gym. Let's talk about the benefits of things you can do in a chair or things you can do at home.
Well, a lot of things people can do in the chair and a lot of things people can do at home. I think a lot of times we hear people making excuses. I don't have access to gym equipment, but we're going to spend this whole segment talking about things one can do, even using just this chair we have. Look, there's people today that are in wheelchairs. There's people today that are that do have significant mobility issues because of age or injuries or whatever, or even disease. And so there's a lot you can do at home.
Just simply sitting in a chair, if you have a set of hand weights, those hand weights can be right beside the chair. We do at work, we do what's called the 20 and 2 rule right from the desk in the office. And you'll see weights by the side of my desk where I'll do bicep curls, triceps, overhead triceps, shoulder press. There's a lot of things that you can do with a simple set of hand weights sitting in a chair. For every 20 minutes you sit, you do 2 minutes of movement.
Well, yeah, and think about this. So I'm sitting here right now in this chair. Okay, one thing that I could do is I could stand up on my toes. I could flex my calves like that, right? Up and down, up and down. That's a good exercise. I could
good
press
calf
down
exercise.
press down with my heels.
That's
And
the
that would
anterior calf.
also, yeah, anterior side of that, and also it sort of flexes your quadriceps. You could extend your leg and squeeze it up here. Again, working the quadriceps muscles. You could even act like you're riding a bike, lifting up your legs back and forth like that. Good. And you talked about the dumbbell idea. There's a lot of things you can do. One thing that many people don't think about is just working on pulling the abdominal muscle or abdominal cavity back with your strength. Pull it in tight, right? And work on that and work on the posture. Right? Sit up straight. Don't sit like this all the time. Don't sit like this. Don't slump all the time. And the 20 and 2 rule, that's one of the best things ever. For every 20 minutes you sit, stand up for 2. Even standing up like that is doing something. Every time you do that, you did a squat. And a lot of times people think they have to go to the gym, but you really don't. You can even use a chair like this. I won't get up now, but you could get up without your hands. That would be pretty tough for some people. Or if you can't do that, use your hands as an assister, as a sort of a spot, if you will.
Yes, you can do kind of a semi-tricep push
Exactly.
down if you're trying to push yourself up out of a chair. I do like what you said about sitting at the end of the chair and working towards getting up without using your hands. That's definitely going to focus on strengthening the
Yeah.
leg muscles. Then once you get to the standing position, of course, standing on one leg, try to stand on one leg for 10 seconds. And then stand on the other leg for 10 seconds. And as you stand on one leg, of course, tighten the quadriceps and tighten the glutes while you're standing. You're going to improve the strength in that leg, and you're also going to improve balance.
Well, and none of these cost money. They didn't cost you a gym membership. And didn't think about bands. What about those exercise bands? Those could be pretty good, right?
That's right. In one of the chairs we have at home, it's kind of got a leg similar to this chair. Those bands are around the end of it where you can do shoulder presses. You can pull it to the front, do bicep curls. You can actually push forward in a sort of a semi-rowing kind of action. Bands can come in really, really handy when you're using it for when you're sitting in a chair, using it for chair exercises.
Yeah, and then people say, well, what if I only do it 10 minutes? Is that enough? Sure it is. 10 minutes is better than nothing. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. We talk about getting blood, oxygen, and nutrients to the tissues. The only way to really saturate your cells with blood, oxygen, and nutrients is to move. If we're sedentary, we're not getting good oxygenation, good nutrition, good blood flow to the tips of our toes and the tips of our fingers. So 10 minutes is definitely going to be better than nothing. And there are a lot of studies that talk about 15-minute high intensity routines where you're actually getting your heart rate up for a 15-minute period of time actually improves fitness.
Well, it does. And I think when you get into this whole idea of exercise, we live in a sedentary society. A lot of people have sit-down jobs. Not just 10 minutes. Once you get 10 minutes, don't stop there. Make your day a day of movement while you do the work. And if you'll just do that, you'll find yourself more active. Metabolism will go up. You'll invariably get more activity, more steps, and therefore your health will improve.
Yeah, so if an individual is actually confined to a chair, there's a lot of things that you can do to improve blood, oxygen, and nutrients to your tissue. And then you can work towards getting more mobile over time. What would be the goal? I mean, 15 minutes works, but what is the traditional goal?
Well, I look at it like I want to get 150 minutes per week. When you look at that, that would pretty much agree with the American Heart Association as far as what's recommended. It's one of the things I do agree with them on. But get 150 minutes a week, and you might have to start at 100. You might have to start at 75, but start somewhere. And the more you move, the more you live. The less you move, the less you live.
And the closer you are to
rigor mortis. Right? So, movement's life. And so just make sure that you're doing this, and do not allow the excuse of not being able to go to the gym, afford a gym membership, or not having equipment hold you back. Use the tools we just gave you, and you'll find that movement is life and will give you more quality of life.
Could drinking, soda, diet, or regular be killing you?
Yes, stop it immediately.
Our flagship product is called Kingdom Fuel. Tell us a little bit about Kingdom Fuel and why it's so good.
We saw people struggling with the idea and concept of it's too expensive to eat healthy. So we thought, okay, that's the problem. Let's find a solution. So we found a solution for $5 or under per meal. And that represented the birth of the idea of Kingdom Fuel. So Kingdom Fuel is organic pea protein. It's got greens and reds in it. So this is the phytonutrients from green plants and red plants that we all talk about. Eat your vegetables, right? It's also got vitamins and minerals in it. So it's got a complete complex of that. And it's got also soluble and insoluble fiber, which the difference between the two is profound. Soluble actually gathers moisture and makes you full. And the insoluble goes through the system and grabs things like damaged particles.
The body runs on nutrients. It doesn't run on medication. And Kingdom Fuel is a complete multivitamin and mineral.
Now we have it. Kingdom Crunch.
It's important to start breakfast off with a power-packed punch. You want a complete amino acid score, good protein. If you turn the label over and look at the back of the box, there is no added sugars in either one of these flavors, either peanut butter or acai bowl.
Peanut butter has 11 grams of high quality protein. Acai bowl has 8. Peanut butter has 11 grams of carbohydrate, acai bowl 12, and both of them have good solid fat content at 6 grams. Very filling, very healthy.
You will be fueling yourself with high quality fuel, starting off the day right. You can even use Kingdom Crunch as a snack in the middle of the day if you just have a craving and you want to eat something that is good for you, it has a crunch, and doesn't have a lot of calories.
There you go. Diabetic friendly, keto friendly, paleo friendly, Kingdom Crunch, and
Child friendly. Soda replacement drinks. It's time to ditch the soda for better health. You know, we're slowly getting better at making better choices about what we need to do to improve our long-term health. And one of these things is declining the consumption of soda that we drink. It went from a regular cup to a biggie cup to a big size cup to a big gulp to a gallon gulp. And before we know it, we had all of the health problems that came along with it, from obesity to type 2 diabetes. And we know that type 2 diabetes, with that sugar running through the bloodstream, that's eventually going to end up in a heart attack. We also know that all that extra sugar that we're drinking, that sweet treat, just ends up in tooth decay. And there's actually no nutrients in that soda pop. So it's time to change that soda pop to some healthy alternatives.
well, you're right. There's not one solitary constructive thing about soda, and we know the sugar in there, but then we also got to think about,
Yeah,
well,
you're just drinking calories.
what about diet soda? Well, that's just worse because some of the
All the
ingredients in
chemicals.
there, can sort of blend themselves into formaldehyde, which is used to preserve dead people. So it's like you're just drinking your death. You're preparing yourself. Every time you drink a soda, I want you to think you're preparing yourself
Liquid
for
death.
liquid death. But thankfully, there's been a lot of transition now with awareness to get away from that and to have sort of alternatives to sodas. You have all these different waters out there, some flavored waters, sparkling waters, yada, yada, yada. Let's talk about some of the best or worst of those.
Well, one of the best things that you can actually do is have a water filtration system
Bingo.
in your home. And you can actually cut up pieces of fruit, whether it's watermelon, whether it's lemons, whether it's limes, whether it's mangoes, whatever you want that water to be infused with. And you can put it in the water, let it sit for 15 minutes or so, and pour it off, add some ice, and have a cool, refreshing drink. Now that's
Yep.
a little bit away from that bubbly. It's not going to give you that tss and that fizz that drinking soda pop is going to do, but that's the first sure way to have clean, pure water with a little pop of flavor.
Well, and why are we talking about a filter at filtered water? The sort of the way the city waters and county waters are supposed to be maintained, they're supposed to filter stuff out, but they don't, right? We know that there has been multiple studies that have indicated that there's been statin drugs, birth control, other chemicals within water, fluoride, that's at levels that are not necessarily in their amounts harmful, but you put them all together, could it be harmful? So I think that a filter is good. You could get one to put in your house permanently, or you can get some of those portable filters you can
That you
have
can
in
travel with.
Travel with. Yeah, that's very good. And then some of the flavored waters, out there, like the ones with the bubbles in them. I won't say any brands, but you get my point. Those are pretty good for the most part.
Well, you probably want to turn the label over, look at what the additives in it are, and see if it's asulfame versus stevia.
That's right, because a sulfame would not be as good as stevia. And there's all these little things you got to look for. The other issue with those is they can be a little bit acidic, right? If you drink too many of them, they can become more of an acidifier to the gut, which is not necessarily what you want to do. You want to have a good balance of your pH. And then there's all kinds of bottled waters out here that are not fizzy waters, but they're out there in the, in those refrigerators. We see them at the airports. We see them at the convenience stores all the time. Which one do you get?
That's right. A couple other things that you can do is, if you want just a simple sparkling water, start with something that is plain, like
Yeah.
a lemon or a lime without the other artificial flavors or preservatives.
Yes, Dee, look for those labels that say natural flavors, because in the industry, nobody really knows what that is. Could it be bad? I suppose. Could it be good? I suppose. We just don't know. So there's a lot of unknowns out there with some of these natural flavors, because what does that mean, natural flavors? The bottom line is less ingredients is better with these things. Less ingredients is better. Look for things you know, and then try to use those to get away from soda, of course. Then when you go to plain old water, I mean, know that the bottles used to be constructed with BPA, right? And now they're used with BPS, a different chemical, but you're still going to get some leaching through of that plastic into that water. And we don't know about storage. So if you put some heat to that thing and it's stored in a nice humid area, how much of it leaches into the water? We don't know.
We don't know.
So there's so many unknowns. I think it boils down to get as pure water as you can, get a filter system, and maybe consider drinking out of glass and or metal, cups.
Containers. A couple other things that people can think about doing instead of drinking soda pop is they can go to something like kombucha. Now, kombucha can be bought in a store, and kombucha can be made at home. The difference between making it at home and making it buying it in the store is, of course, what is it made with and how much sugar does it contain? You have to be very mindful of, is that the same amount of sugar that's in a soda pop? Sometimes that kombucha is sweetened with just as much sugar because it's the component that is used to ferment and brew the kombucha.
Yeah, whatever we drink, we need to understand we've got to get water, because the body is 65-70% water as it is. So make sure you drink the water and remain hydrated, and make sure you get good sources. You can have other things like teas without
Tea is a great
sugar,
one.
coffees that are actually good, like mold-free coffees, like our Kingdom Cup right there is good to have.
What about coconut water?
Coconut water would be okay.
With all it's got some nutrients in it that are unique.
You just got to be careful with the labels.
Electrolytes.
Read the labels, make sure there's no added sugar, make sure there's no chemicals on there you can't pronounce. And if you just kind of follow that rule as a general rule of thumb, you'll be all right.
So we've talked about water, different types of water, different ways you can replace soda with different types of water. How many ounces of water should an individual drink in a day?
As a general rule, somewhere between 60 and 80 ounces a day. Now, that varies with the amount of lean body mass you have. So, just don't get out there and say you got to have a gallon. It's all dependent upon your activity level, what you do, how much you sweat, where you are in life, the climate around you, etc. But try to get between 60 and 80 ounces of good, clean, non-ingredient, non-negative water, and you'll be good for the wear, because water does a body good, doesn't it?
Water does a body good. You want to eat your calories, not drink them. So keep it clean, keep it pure, keep the calories low.